अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः गुरुभ्यो नमः सर्वगुरुभ्यो नमः कृष्णपरब्रह्मणे नमः श्रीलक्ष्मी नृसिंहपरब्रह्मणे नमः श्रीलक्ष्मी हायतनपरब्रह्मणे नमः सर्वं श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु. Make sure my internet is working properly. Can you hear me properly? I'll also share my PowerPoint. Yeah, now you can see my PowerPoint.
Yes.
Good. You can also hear me well, I guess. Yeah. So we will continue with the Īśāvāsya Upaniṣad, overview of Īśāvāsya Upaniṣad as understood by Sampratanga. And this will be our introduction to understand his views on Kena Upanishad. Before we start, just let me orient all of you where things are. My grandfather's view are very connected to how Bhagavad Gītā is set out. And he understands Upanishads based on Bhagavad Gītā. And he says that is the ideal way to understand the whole of Vedanta philosophy. He connects Īśāvāsya Upaniṣad into Bhagavad Gītā quite seriously, right? Very seriously. And everywhere he sets out a student to understand the steps in how spiritual realization occurs, as explained in the Bhagavad Gītā, and how the steps of spiritual realizations match up with the Īśāvāsya Upanishad verses. So that's the whole idea we're talking about here. This will become clearer and clearer as you go. And eventually he might repeat many things here and there. But if you can slowly think about it, all this will form as some kind of a strong conviction in your mind as to where things are according to his view. He sort of defaults to the Rāmānuja system of thought and Vedanta Deshika system of thought in general, right? But his Vedanta Deshika has written the Īśāvāsya Upanishad Bhashya anyway, right? In general, he does, but he gives some insight from the yoga philosophy in depth. That is the interesting part we are trying to understand. Is this strategy clear to all of you? I'm sure you have listened to it many, many times. And sometimes what happens is, 15 days, once in 15 days, we continue with the Upanishads. Once in 15 days, we deal with the Bhagavad Gītā. So there may be some confusion here and there. Hope everything is in order. You sort of understand, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. So we are talking about Tattva, Hita, Purushartha, what is enshrined in the very first words of the Īśāvāsya Upanishad. Īśāvāsya midam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjitaha magrita kasya svidhanam. In that itself, Tattva, Hita, Purushartha are explained. Tattva is the philosophy of life. That's the truth. Tattva is the real truth of life, right? Hita means the way to get to the goal, and Purushartha is the goal. That is the ideal to be achieved. So the first verse itself has all these things inbuilt. And who is the central truth? Vasudeva or Īśvara. Vasudeva, the word says, He's everywhere. And this knowledge should be given to everyone without any restriction, without any discrimination. Everyone should know this. So there is no Varna Dharma or anything which stops anybody to study this. So once a person receives the spiritual culture, and with proper education, a person becomes efficient in receiving the information and using that information in life and realizing the truth. So Vedanta Deshika, whose Bhashya Sampathanga takes it pretty seriously, he converts this into a prayer. Īśāvāsya sarvam chetana chetanatmakam vishuddha sadguna ugamtam vasudevam upasmahe. We meditate on Vasudeva, who has pure qualities, sadgunas, without any blemishes. He is pure in every way. And then he pervades everything. And let us meditate on this Vasudeva. That is just invocation verse to the Bhashya of Vedanta Deshika. And it represents a devotional approach to this teaching and learning. And this Vasudeva is the essence of all Vedic knowledge. So the thing is, what next? The idea is, how do human beings understand this world? They wake up and they see different things around, and they say, okay, the world is made of different things. It's a collection of different things. But as they grow up, they think that, okay, the world is something more than just a collection. But they don't understand what is putting together this whole world. What is the purpose? What is this? That thing which is connecting everything, the glue which connects everything. In fact, my teacher KSV used to often mention this verse. Ārāmamasya paṣyanti natam paṣyati kaścana. This is a beautiful verse from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 4.3.15. What does it mean? Ārāma is a resting place. Ārāma can be taken as Dhyāna, or even a garden. You see the garden, wonderfully well done garden, but you don't know where the gardener is. So that's what this whole universe is. We see this wonderful universe. We hear about the news about so many things happening far away from us. It seems that the scientists found out the very first beginning of how a planet separates from a star, from a baby star, how the planets separate. Just like how our Earth separated from Sun 4.5 billion years ago, supposedly, right? So they see this and they explain. So everybody see these wonderful things happening in this universe. Now, we don't know who is behind all these things. We don't see him. So this failure of recognizing the divine principle is the main problem. And our happiness is limited. And we are definitely happy looking at wonderful things. Somebody went to Alaska and saw the whales and things like that. They are very happy when they come back and say, oh, they sent pictures here and there. Somebody went to the Himalayas and they see all these things. Oh, this is beautiful. But they're not happy. Because the fountainhead of happiness, bliss, is in that connector or the divine glue, which puts everything together. So now the student is taught. So the human being, in general, human beings understand everything, but they don't understand the connecting principle or the synthesizing principle. And immediately the Upanishad says Īśvara is this connecting principle. How does the connection occur? The connection occurs because Īśvara is everywhere, in every thought of yours, in every word, everything is pervaded by this Īśvara. If a person seriously realizes this, the life of that person changes completely. Ideas of that person reorients everything. I thought that these were all different. Why is that there is a connecting principle? How do I know more about this connecting principle? So it changes the very attitude, approach of anyone. So, but he's also reminded us of certain things. Some things don't change, right? We wake up in the morning, we need to have something. Little children, the baby wakes up and cries for food. The birds wake up and go fly out to get some food. So people do so many things. The moment we are inside a body, that means that we have to cater to our bodily needs of food, water, shelter, and entertainment and things like that. So our actions are built in, no matter what. And a life of a human being is also, once you know action, right, you realize that you owe something to your environment. So consciousness of duty comes out automatically. Suppose, you have to travel on the road. You have to respect the lights, red light, green light. You have to respect them when you drive through the roads. If you don't, you will be hurt one day and you will hurt other people also. So we are living in a society and the universe, and we have to, there is a symbiosis, right? There is give and take. So there are some rules which guide us, which are necessary, and that the rules are in the form of some duty we have to everyone. These duties are explained in the Vedas as prescriptions, Karma-kāṇḍa, prescriptions. So the thing is, honoring devatas, honoring everything, that's a part of duty. So immediately the Upanishad also mentioned that, yes, there are set of duties for everyone. And what it says is there are 4 progressive stages that lead to the absolute realization of life. These 4 steps are explained slowly. These refer to the 4 levels of mental maturation. And we need this integrated knowledge. Knowledge of just particular things are not so important. And it happens, they're important in their own way. But only when you get an integrated knowledge, that's when you know you're going to the right path. Why are we talking about an integrated knowledge? Don't forget the fundamental principle of Vedanta. What is the fundamental goal of Vedanta? In simple words, anybody? Just fundamental principle. Why Vedanta? If somebody says, why Vedanta? Why not something else? How do you answer this question? This is a fundamental question. We have answered it long time back. I want you to think about it and let me know. Anybody?
Freedom from
What did he say?
Freedom from cycle of birth and death.
That's one way to look at it. Anybody else? Why Vedanta? If somebody else says. Which is universal.
It's a darshana. It's a way of looking at life, right? The nature of reality, knowing the nature of reality.
Okay, that's one way of looking at it. Yes. Anybody else? I can't hear somebody. I think Ilangoji tried to say something, but I don't think I saw. I can hear.
Yeah, happiness, like endless happiness.
Correct. First thing about human or even like an ant or an animal or something, everybody is looking for happiness, bliss, and that you cannot avoid. Why can't you avoid happiness? Next question. Why you are unable to avoid happiness. Nobody can say, I'm looking for sadness, but you naturally look for happiness. Somebody is torturing you, you want to get out and become happy. And happiness is so fundamental. Why you cannot avoid that fundamental nature of yourself, that you are looking for happiness, and you cannot get rid of that feeling of looking for happiness? Why?
That is our very nature.
Yes. We are made of Ānanda. We are made of bliss. But it is incomplete. Because it's incomplete, you're looking to perfect it. You're looking to better it. You're not happy with where things are. So we are looking for unpolluted, continuous, endless bliss. And that's our nature. You cannot change it. Good points. Okay, now we are in sync. Now let's go. Why? Because, somebody may ask, why are we studying this boring subject called philosophy, Vedanta, and all those things? There is a person who is mature and understands that life has got limited happiness. Once that thing comes straight to that person, it becomes solid in that idea, in the mind. The person will be focused in Vedanta. And how does a person progress through 4 stages of Vedanta? That is explained in the next slide. What is the first stage of human beings? Pramana Parishkrita Chitta. You look at valid means of knowledge. And pramanas are basically Pratyaksha, Anumana, Shabda, or Shastra, only 3. The other people look at different pramanas. Many Vedantic systems have different level of pramanas, Apta Vakya, and all those things. But simple, you're looking at direct experience. That is Pratyaksha. Inference, Anumana. So, rational thinking, right? But the thing is, you will never know an idea of a self or Atman without a guru. Because if you forget a guru, you forget anything, you always look at only science, which involves reason, logic, rational thinking, and that's it. But you need a guru to understand, yes, there is a self. There is you, which is different. So even reason can give you a nature of self indirectly, right? Aparoksha, that means indirect. But when you reason out and say, oh, I should be a thinker, I'm a thinker, oh, I should be an enjoyer, I also need to, I always look for happiness. So all these things are external, indirect knowledge. But such knowledge never gets integrated to your personality. You forget it. You know very well that a TV show eventually is boring, but you get attached to it and say, oh, today's show is different, I'm watching this. Today's news is different, I'm going to watch this. At the end of the day, you're never happy with it. Because the knowledge is not integrated in human beings. They know very well that the external world does not give happiness, but they keep on going at it. I have already told you a long time back in a very introductory lecture, I told that there is a story of a kind of a fox which is in the woods. It goes and it gets attracted to some fruits which are very nice in color, that is beautiful red or some kind of a wonderful color, and grapes, I think it's shining grapes, and the fox tries to eat, and there is some kind of a genetic problem or something, and these grapes are not good for the fox. It gets tummy ache. It really cries to get rid of tummy ache, and it doesn't know how to get medicine out of it. So it runs around, jumps around, and tries to get rid of the tummy ache. Cannot. For hours and hours, it suffers. After the next day, again goes near the grapes and gets attracted by this wonderful, colorful grapes, and again starts eating those grapes. So we see that is the human life. We don't understand, knowing very well that something is not going to give you permanent happiness, you still go for it. That's the problem of our existence. So our knowledge has to dissolve, and it cannot stay separate like a stone in water. You throw stones into water, they don't mix together. They're separate. So knowledge is there, but it's not integrated. So how do you get knowledge deeply in you? For example, nobody goes, no mature person goes and puts a finger in a burning flame. Why? The person knows it. But do we do it in other aspects where we get into many deals in life? It could be attachments and affairs, and it could be anything. But finally that end up in trouble, but you don't know while you're at it because it's not integrated. So only when that becomes the true knowledge, that is, it's the knowledge has sunk in, then it becomes Shraddha, faith, and conviction. Nishchaya is, I'm sure that this is what it is. And what does Shraddha lead to? Suppose somebody has the faith and conviction. What will that person do? Anybody? The person has faith and the person has conviction. What will that person do?
His actions will reflect it.
What did you say?
His actions will reflect that.
Correct. The action, the immediate action, tvara. Rāmānuja says, Shraddha, if somebody has real true faith, the tvara should be indicated. Tvara is immediate action. When a person has Shraddha towards Īśvara, says, how can I get to Īśvara? What will I do? That tvara should be there. Otherwise, that is not true faith or conviction. If somebody says, yes, I need final bliss, unending bliss, and Īśvara can give it, what are you waiting for? Go get it. This was indicated to me by a small story my grandfather told me in the very first class. The story of a mango grove. It seems that little children, less than teenage, like less than 12 years, 10 years, they were having fun in a mango grove, and the kids were throwing stones, and each one was competing with each other. How can I hit one stone and get 2 or 3 mangoes out, and they should fall from the tree? They keep on, doing this for a long time. And the whole, almost portions of the trees were destroyed because of stone pelting. Somebody came nearby, an old man came by nearby. He told one particular kid, he said, do you know who this mango tree belongs to? The kid said, I don't know. That's your father's mango grove, you dummy. It's getting destroyed. That's your father owns it. Then the kid became alarmed and suddenly said, okay, my God, oh, this belongs to me. If this belongs to me, why are these kids, and why am I doing this bad things, pelting stones and destroying my beautiful garden and mango grove? Then the kid takes the stones and starts pelting at his friends to stop this destruction, because the kid realizes that it belongs to me. Similarly, our bliss belongs to us. If we want to get at it, we have to work. It has to be applied to you. This is in some Mīmāmsa Sutra, which I forgot. And my grandfather had given me a Mīmāmsa Sutra, which says that is why the karmas are important. That is the intention with which you have to work towards karma. So rational knowledge is a form of wealth, but it is not a vital force until it is internalized within. And Bhagavad Gītā says this is the first stage of disciplined reason, that is Buddhi-Yoga. So now how my grandfather connects to Bhagavad Gītā, you see this progress, what you see. You will get an overview of the first few chapters in a very short time. So what is this Buddhi-Yoga? The Buddhi-Yoga is in the stable insight is known as Vasyatmika Buddhi. What does Vasyatmika Buddhi means? So obviously I expanded his notes to indicate the Bhagavad Gītā verses properly so that you understand. So unshakable Buddhi is in 2.53. But before you get 2.53, second chapter 53, but before you get there, what makes you focused. So it says, Vyavasayatmika buddhihi ekeha kurunandara. That is 241. My grandfather used to memorize whole of the Bhagavad Gītā without looking at a book and constantly think about the meanings to make sure everything falls in place and he understands the whole connections. So this will give you an introduction of how we should look at Bhagavad Gītā. Vyavasayatmika buddhi means that is spiritually progressive intellect. That's only one. The goal is one. There are hundreds and thousands of branches for people whose intellect is focused in spirituality. Kamya karma, that is desire-oriented. There are millions and billions of attachments. People go after everything, multifaceted, multi-branches. But if somebody is focused on Atma, all actions will be directed towards how do I get closer to Atma? How do I feel the bliss of Atma? So the whole thing changes. And those people whose mind are conquered by desires, they cannot get rid of the desires. And they will never focus on Atma Satyam. See, the second chapter is so important. If we don't understand and internalize them, there's no point of philosophy. Then next comes Shruti Vipratipannate, that is 2.53. Shruti Vipratipannate dastasyati nischala samadho achala buddhihi tada yogam avapsyasi. What does it mean? As said in the Shastras, knowledge of self with Karma-Yoga. Because what should I do to avoid papas and clarify my mind, to purify my mind? Those are Karma-Yoga duties. And knowledge of self said in the Shastras, by thinking about it, a person becomes Sthita Prajna. His mind is focused on one goal. That is Atma Avalokana. That is to realize who you are, who we are. Now, the second stage, that is the first stage. The first stage is Buddhi-Yoga. And Buddhi-Yoga means stable mind. You're a Sthita Prajna. If you look at the first stage itself, we wonder, where am I? I am in the first stage or not? This tells you how powerful Bhagavad Gītā is. The second stage is external yoga or Bahiranga Yoga. Bahiranga Yoga Parishkrita Chitta. That is, mind is cleansed because of Bahiranga Yoga, external yoga. What is the external yoga? There are 8 limbs of yoga known as, this is Aṣṭāṅga-Yoga, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyāhāra, Dharana, Dhyāna, Samādhi. So if you look at Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyāhāra, if you just count on one hand with 5, those are external. 3 are internal. Dharana, Dhyāna, Samādhi, they are internal. So first, the second stage is external. Yama are the social morals. Niyama are the religious morals. Asana is posture and hygiene. Pranayama is vital breath control, the prana control. And Pratyāhāra is withdrawal of senses from the objects. So these are the external methods to start focusing. So what is the value of external focus? The knowledge has become conviction. That means, well, I'm definitely going to focus inward, and external things are not going to give me permanent happiness. This is decision has come up. And it goes, the faith turns you inward. And that becomes Nischala Buddhi, 2.53, Samadho Achala Buddhihi. That means it becomes not moving. It doesn't get distracted. And that is known as steady awareness rooted in self-awareness, that is knowledge of self, called Atma Aparoksha Anubhava. So the thing is, now it's beginning to understand directly what Atma is. Directly you feel yourself. Anubhava is not complete. The real Anubhava comes much later. So he's setting up the steps, right? Only in Rāmānuja Bhashya, the steps are clear cut. There is no jumps. There is no double promotion, triple promotion, nth promotion, nothing like that. It clearly lays out the steps in the Rāmānuja Bhashya. Why? Because the first 6 chapters are dedicated to Jīvātma Sakshatkara. The next is Bhakti-Yoga, and next is clarification. So that is how the 18 chapters are aligned. How are the subjects, topics aligned in the Śaṅkara Bhashya and Madhva Bhashya? Can you tell me something first on the Śaṅkara Bhashya? How is it aligned there? How is it set up, the subject matter? Roughly, they follow similar steps, but they take a different route. Why? Anybody? Anyone?
Goal oriented.
What?
Directly they're goal oriented.
They're goal-oriented, Atma, Paramātmā oriented. Shankaracharya directly says there is only Brahman and no Brahman, right? That is Atma, Anatma. Non-Brahman, Brahman is only two steps for Shankaracharya. So he takes a big step. He doesn't care about, first, are you knowing who you are? Is your focus going in straight? He also explains, but for him there are only 2 steps. Jīvātma is non-existent for Shankaracharya. For even if it is existent, it is of no use for Shankaracharya. For Madhvacharya, Jīvātma is ignored. Even though he definitely Jiva is there is no issue, that is a permanent, eternal entity and all those things. But he jumps through to Paramātmā focus because Madhvacharya thinks that Paramātmā is the most important thing. I don't care about Jīvātma because Paramātmā is the giver of support and strength for everybody. He is the guide. Just let us focus on only Paramātmā, not about the steps. Steps, he sorts of here and there mentions but ignores. So the ideology, the philosophy for each Acharya is different. But in Rāmānuja-acharya, it is very, very step by step. In fact, he even mentions in the Sthita Prajna Bhasha 4 levels of Sthita Prajna. And that is only mentioned in Rāmānuja Bhashya, not in other Acharya. Other essays may mention roughly, but they never separate it out that way. Okay. So self-awareness influences all actions by refining the sense of doership is described in the Gita. Now you go to the next level. So first of all, Jīvātma knows that it is a doer. Action is required. And how does a refinement of the self-awareness occur? So doership changes too. It influences all actions done by human beings if they are going to the next level. What are the traits? Vashi means detached from the sense of proprietorship or ownership. So the thing is, you are the owner of the world or owner of the matter or something doesn't exist for this person. So detachment comes first. Prabhu means becomes liberated from limitations of life. Prabhu is powerful, being powerful because nothing bothers. Vibhu, the person always acts for universal welfare because the person realizes similarity of all the beings in this world, whether it is Shunichaiva Swapakecha Panditaha Samadarshinaha, whether it is a dog or a dog eater or a Pandita, everything becomes similar to this person because he has equanimity of approach to everything. So how does this occur in the Bhagavad Gītā? That is explained in the verses 5.13 through 5.15. That is 5.13, 14, 15. Let's see how that occurs. Sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukam vashi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvanne nakarayanne. I have copied Rāmānuja Bhashya here because that is similar to what my grandfather thinks. So I just want to give you what steps Rāmānuja-acharya takes here, right? simple meaning is the person says, because of the prior prachina karma. Prachina karma means previous lives' actions, starting from minus infinity, right? So all our kartritva or the agency is made because of the prior actions. And that is why we got this body. We don't have kartrita by ourselves as related to this body. So with this knowledge, so the actions belong to the body. So the person ascribes the action to Navadvare Pure Dehi Sanyasya. So the thing is, he says that this body naturally has to act. The actions are not related to me as Jīvātma. It's more related to the body. The person knows about it. Vashi becomes, he controls. He becomes a controller. So he doesn't care too much about, if he has basic bodily requirements, enough. Doesn't want, the best things around. I just have to make sure my body is intact so that I can go further and pursue spiritual goal. So this is the nature of Jīvātma. Then, nakartatvam nakarmani lokasya srajati prabhu nakarma bala samyogam svabhavastu pravartate. So the thing is, we are in different kinds of bodies. It should be a body of human being, body of a devata, body of animal, worm, snake, it doesn't matter. So we don't take up actions ourselves, but because we are connected to our bodies, actions come to us naturally. Pure Jīvātma does not have to do anything related to the external body, but because the Jīvātma is connected to the body, Swabhava. Swabhava means Prakriti Vasana. So naturally, Jīvātma does not have doership related to this universe. But there is Swabhava because the Jiva is connected with the body. And that is because of the unlimited number of janmas in the past. And that association, doing different actions and getting the phala or the fruits of different action. So the agency is transferred to the Jīvātma. Na swarupapayuktam. It is not directly, originally related to the Jīvātma. Okay. Now, next verse is na adatte kasijit papam na chaiva sukritam vipuhu ajnane navritam jnanam tena mukshanti jantavaha. So the thing is, a person cannot pick up somebody else's dukkha. Even if there is a father and the child is crying with pain, the father cannot take over the pain of the child. Nor can a person take away the enjoyments of an enemy. Suppose an enemy is there enjoying wealth and having fun. You cannot take away the enjoyment or the happiness of enemy. So the Jīvātma is a vibhu in the sense that it is not related to a particular body, time, place. It can be anywhere, it can pick up anything. Jīvātma is not a real relative of anybody. Even father and children are not related. Due to some karma, they are together for some time. If the karmas change, the families separate out. So this attachment is because vasana, or vasana, what do you call it, is an attachment due to samskaras, due to previous lives. Because that gives ajnana or ignorance, attachment, and feeling of I have to do this. This is mine, and all those things. Ajnana navritam jnanam. So the thing is, the ajnana is covering the jnana. The Jīvātma has jnana, but that is covered by ignorance. Hence, the body connection is there, and attachments due to the body is there. So, hence, actions originate due to body connections. So once this knowledge is attained, slowly the person gets bliss because he is focused inward and not outward. And what is the nature of this focus? Sampatanga is building the idea through the Bhagavad Gītā shlokas. Yo anta sukontara ramaha tatha antarjyotirevayaha sayogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhuto adhigacchati. What was said in the second chapter as Brahma Nirvana explains further. What is that Brahma Nirvana said in the second chapter, end of Sthita Prajna Shloka? Antasukha, internal bliss. Antararamaha, inner calm. Antarjyotihi, inner light or awareness. So a person will get happiness. He is only happy with knowledge, realization of self. And he sees light within. That he is luminous. That person gets Brahma Nirvana, being in Brahman. Here the word Brahma, Rāmānuja takes it specifically as Jīvātman. Because the real Brahman is unknown to us yet. First you have to know who this. Once you are disconnected from your body and external connections, you yourself are blooming and becoming big. So the word Brahma means big. How big? Initially, you have to go through yourself, which is so big only. But that itself is known as Brahman. Third stage. So you're going inside, you're understanding the bliss. You're realizing the bliss, you're feeling the bliss. And you don't want to get out of it because that's more interesting than external world experiences. You remember the Bhagavata where Punascharvita Charvanam, it says that if you eat, you eat sugarcane and you throw away the sugarcane, even you take the thrown away one and start biting, you still get a little bit of rasa or juice, right? Punascharvita Charvanam. We are just doing that. There is no happiness in the world, but you keep on biting at it. Once you know that there is no happiness, you go within. So the second stage was external yoga. The internal yoga is Dharana, Dhyāna, Samādhi. Just to tell you where we are, Sampatanga is only explaining you the introduction to Upāsanā. Before anybody does Upāsanā, you have to have Atma Sakshatkara. And to have Atma Sakshatkara, you have to go through all these processes. So that is why he is explaining all these things. Dharana, Dhyāna, Samādhi. What does Dharana means? Concentration. Dhyāna means meditation. Samādhi is absorption. So this is Antaranga-Yoga. That is mind which is purified by internal focus. This leads to cosmic consciousness. That means Jīvātman gets separated from the body. It doesn't look that, I'm this limited one. I am all over the place. I am different person. And that is a state of nirvana, paramashanti, or peace, or brahma bhava. Different words are used in the Gita. So now it's only still an inner vision of the Lord, a vision of Jīvātman. And slowly getting the integral bliss. So the bliss portion is explained in the 6th chapter. 6.20 to 23, there are 4 verses which explain the bliss. And now we'll go to the next one, that the bliss itself is 3rd stage only. So these three stages, even after Dharana, Dhyāna, Samādhi, it's only 3rd stage. There is still a 4th stage remaining. Why is that? Anybody? Dharana, Dhyāna, Samādhi will lead to one level. But you have to go beyond it. Why is that? Anybody? No answer, silence.
He feels like finding the source of that bliss.
What?
He wants to find the source of that bliss.
True.
So he inquires at that point, what is the source of this bliss?
Yes. You're coming there, but not there yet. Well, anybody else?
That is where he will find that integrating principle.
Okay. What does Samadhi do? What will you get out of Samadhi?
Make it permanent.
Okay. Anybody else before I say something? Any want to try something else? This is very fundamental to understand Rāmānuja view of this whole thing. And what Sampathaiyangar is trying to say is, this is very clearly in the Gita, whether Rāmānuja says it or not, honestly, obviously he takes a lot from him, but says that it is written all over Gita and the Upanishads. You cannot avoid this. And the Upanishads too. That is his whole thesis. See, Dharana, Dhyāna, Samadhi for Rāmānuja, or what my grandfather is trying to say is, it is only till the Jīvātma Sakshatkara, the individual self. The individual self itself is blissful. But that is not God. That is not Brahman. So Dharana, Dhyāna, Samadhi will only reach the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gītā, which is Jīvātma Sakshatkara. That's only realizing your own self, the knower, the enjoyer, the feeler, who is stuck in matter. But when you detach from matter, slowly you will know who you are. So this Dharana, Dhyāna, Samadhi is on Jīvātma. Dharana, Dhyāna is on Jīvātma. Now comes the question. Why can't, instead of Dharana, Dhyāna, Samadhi and Jīvātma, why can't people directly focus on Krishna? Focus on Hari? Focus on Brahman in some way? Why? Why not? This is an interesting question. Please think. Do you understand the question? People say, look, I am not going to, if I know Jīvātma is not the final destination, why would I focus on Jīvātma? Why is Rāmānuja creating this little barrier called Jīvātma? I would rather focus. I know a temple. I go to Tirupati and focus on Venkateshwara. I go to Ahobila and focus on Narasimha. Or some Mathura and focus on Krishna. Whatever. I know temples and I will focus on Paramātmā directly, Krishna directly. Why this intermediate step called Jīvātma? Why is Rāmānuja stuck with this problem? Anybody?
We don't know anything about that entity, that we only know ourselves at best, right?
What entity we are talking?
Brahman.
Brahman.
Or the Paramātmā in
Yeah, Paramātmā. See, what it is directly you will not know what Paramātmā is. Just because you go to temple and look at it, what do you see? You see only a murti of an ordinary person. I'm not talking about an Alvar or a Nayanmar kind of a person who can see directly Brahman through the Archamurti. Nayanmar saw Brahman through Shiva Archamurtis. And Alvar saw Brahman through Vaishnava Archamurtis. They can see. But how many of us are Alvars and Nayanmars? Ordinary people can only see metal or stone Archamurtis. And we can think, we can be sincere and say, that is, Venkateshwara's Murti is Parabrahman, he is Shriyapati Narayana. You can say, you can think. But is that clear? Like how you touch a flame and so it burns, and clearly it burns. Is that clear? So, even this whole thing of can you directly meditate on Paramatma directly is not possible. That is why Bhagavad Gītā put the steps. That is why Rāmānujacārya, I'm sure I should say more Yamunacārya who taught Rāmānujacārya about these steps. He gave the master blueprint to Rāmānujacārya, expand on this. So Jīvātma cannot be seen. I'm sorry, Paramātmā cannot be seen. Jīvātma is the first idea of who you are because it's constantly with you. So Atmavalokana becomes the first step. Is that clear? Any questions so far?
Another thing is the true bhakti also will bloom only if we have Jīvātma Sakshatkara.
True. Yes. So Jīvātma Sakshatkara is not not there yet in the bhakti. See, ordinary bhakti is going to temples, crying in front of the temples when people lose something. All this becomes ordinary bhakti. And so Bhagavad Gītā is like a very, very powerful what do you call ideology, right? So ordinary bhakti is not complete.
Swami.
Darshana samanakara. You directly have to realize Lord, like Namalvar or somebody. So Jīvātma Sakshatkara is a level 1. One has to have a great level of Jīvātma Sakshatkara. One more thing, don't forget. Trivir Anyonya Samyamaha. That means Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, they are related to each other. There is nothing called pure Bhakti Yoga. So Bhakti Yoga involves a little bit of Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Karma Yoga includes a little bit of Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga. So each one has other two in some percentages, right? So there is nothing called pure only one yoga. Now, let us look at how the internal integrated bliss is experienced at the Jīvātma level. And that is given in the 6th chapter, 20 to 23. Okay. This is where Rāmānuja Bhashya steps are very well defined. Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya. Yatra Jīvātmanātmānam pasyannātmani tushyati. This is 6.20. Yatra uparamate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya. Yatra Jīvātmanātmānam pasyannātmani tushyati. Through the mind purified, which is controlled, the chitta is controlled because of yoga, which is Karma Yoga and Karma Yoga at this point. Pasyan Anya Nirapeksham, because it constantly focuses on Atman without any need to get to other thing. Atmanieva tushyati. The person is happy. The mind is, pure mind directs the consciousness towards Atman, and the intellect is focused on Atman and experiences Atman. And so, oh, this is bliss. What is the question, Adiji?
Swami, I think you're going to explain about that. Like if he feels that he's in bliss, how does he feel like there's something else when he's in bliss? How does he get the inspiration that there is something else, Paramātmā, when he's in complete bliss already from the Jīvātma Sakshatkara? I think you're...
That will come later.
Yeah.
That will come. Okay. So first thing is mind is directed towards Jīvātma because Anya Nirapeksham. Anya Nirapeksham means I just copied small bits and pieces from Rāmānuja Bhashya because the person is not interested in anything material. Then Sukham Atyantikam yat tat buddhigrahyamati indriyam vetti yatra nachaivayam sthitaha chalati tatvataha. Sukham Atyantikam yat tat buddhigrahyamati indriyam. So thing is, using the senses, that cannot be realized. Only when the intellect focuses on Jīvātma, then only you know what that is. That is the type of sukha. Atyantikam sukha. It is not ordinary sense gratification. The pleasure is bliss. It is different from sense gratification. Yatra cha yoge vetti anubhavati. Yatra cha yoge sthitaha. Sukhatirekena tatvataha tat bhavat na chalati. Because that is so blissful, he doesn't want anything else. You give, that is where, what do you call it, seems Vedanta Deshika was given rice and some jewels like diamonds or gold pieces in his daily alms. He used to throw away them as stones and then just eat the little food, what he got out to Unchavritti or begging. That level of maturity one needs. Similarly, Kuresha threw away a golden patram he had because that attachment I don't want. So that is all very high level of Vairāgya. Then only the person knows that Atma is so important. Yam labdva cha param labham manyate nadhikam tataha yasmin sthito na dukkhena gurunapi vichalyate. After attaining that kind of happiness, the person doesn't look for anything else. And if that person is in that state of happiness, even if there is a very bad event that happened, disaster that happened in that particular person's life, that person doesn't care. Here, Rāmānuja gives an example of api gunavat putra viyogadina gurunapi dukkhena na vichalyate. See, there may be different children, many children, but if one child is extremely nice, one well qualified, most obedient, most powerful, most intelligent, most happy, fun to be fun with, to have fun with such a great child, even if that child dies, this Atma yogi, because he is so much in bliss of this Atma Sakshatkara, he will not go away. He will not be perturbed. He will only think that, oh, my son is also a Jīvātma. There was some karma binding us together. Today that karma ended. Then God has different plans for me, different plans for my son. Let it go. He will just not bother. Remember the story of young Narada in one of his previous births. He was listening to the Bhagavata Katha from great rishis and other people, nice people who had come to his home, and his mother was serving them, helping things out. And mother went out and suddenly stepped on a poisonous serpent, and the serpent killed her instantaneously with a bite. Then what did Narada say? I don't have my father. Obviously, I don't have my mother now also. Oh, this was the only karma bandha or bondage God had given me. Now that I am free from all bondage, let me find a guru and find Hari. That was the maturity of Narada. Tam vidyat dukkha samyoga viyogam yoga samgitam sanishchayena yoktavyo yogo anirvinna chetasa. So the thing is, this yoga which is anti-dukkha, that means it repels dukkha, dispels dukkha. How? Just like how you turn on a torch and light, suddenly darkness is dispelled. So all unhappiness is completely removed by this bliss. So, evam bhutah yoga iti arambhadashayam nischayena anirvanachya. Right in the beginning, you should decide that this is the greatness of yoga. And this yoga should be continued. Nischayena anirvinachetasa Krishna chetasa yogo yoktavyaha. Without any unhappiness, with powerful decision, one should continue with yoga. That's what the next shloka says. So these are the third stage of integral bliss is explained. That is only at the Jīvātma level right now. Fourth stage is Upāsanā. Why don't we do one thing? Now it's already 8:40, 10 minutes after 1 hour now. We will continue with this tomorrow. Let me know if you have any questions. And another thing is I want some general comments as Are we going in the right way? Is this Sampathanga's analysis useful to you? Or is it just a repetition over and over again? Please be honest and let me know. No answer? You're bored? Hello? Anyone?
I think when we talk about Paramatma directly, it sounds like a philosophy. But when it is directed through Jīvātma or ourself, when they say, then it seems very real, of some value in our
What
daily
did you
life.
say? I didn't understand what you said, please.
When we talk about Paramatma, it sounds like a philosophy. But when we talk about Jīvātma, it seems like something of a very daily use for us. So when somebody guides you through that, it feels very practical.
Okay. Wayne G, my connection is unstable. Let me see why my connection is unstable. Once, hold on a second, please. Just a second. It is connected. There's some problem. Okay. Wayne G, what did you want to say?
I find it very thought-provoking, so it leads me to think about a lot of things. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, I make sure you're here. So I've been playing with AI while listening to you and reading everything. So I've been trying to figure out the understanding of between happiness, contentment, pleasure, and bliss. I've got some interesting AI answers that they sound reasonable. And so bliss is something separate from all of those things.
True.
And to me, happiness is a form of pleasure, which kind of goes against the fact that we really want to avoid pleasure because pleasure brings pain. So we want to be more in the contentment area. But contentment and bliss are similar, and that's what AI says. But I've already kind of had that thought in my mind already. But beyond that, bliss is totally beyond contentment.
True.
And so but your discussion here and presentation is thought-provoking. So that's what helps me a lot. I'm thinking about things as we move through and listening to the other questions from other devotees and stuff. And it's very helpful. So it's bottom line.
Excellent. Thank you. Anybody else?
I mean, based on the Gita verse, Mattaha Parataram Nanyati Kintidasti Dhananjaya. So one has to come to that particular state, and it has to be through this integral yoga only.
True. To find the synthesizing force, you have to start with yourself. Even Vivekananda says, if you don't know yourself, how do you know God? Very interesting, actually. Vivekananda's teachings, some people say he liked Advaita, but he taught Vishishtadvaita. Something like that. Anyway, see, to be honest with you, to me personally, at a late age of 60 something, I'm taking up my grandfather's works and studying them very, very seriously. Obviously, I'd missed out on his ability to put things together. When I heard him first time, I was on 19 years old till about 23, 24 before I left India to come to US, right? So the thing is, for those 4 years were formative stage in my life. And whatever he told me, I was not able to understand very well. Now I'm understanding better, and that is why I'm grabbing at everything he has done including the Yoga Sutra, which I am writing out. To get he had some kind of a original thought, so I thought it will be good to share. That's the way I'm trying to do it. It's not trying to propagate anything, anything personal about my family or anything like that. I found this guy pretty interesting. See, I'm a person, I walk out of anybody, whether it's my own relative or something. If I'm not interested, I just walk away. So I'm not trying to boast from my family's perspective. I found this person, even if he's unrelated to me, pretty interesting guy. Yeah. And if you look at tomorrow, you see how he connects Upāsanā. We have not even talked about Upāsanā yet. So the fourth stage is about Upāsanā. So the first three stages are only till Jīvātman Śaṅkara. The fourth stage is Jnana-kāṇḍa of the Upanishads. That's where the Upanishad starts. And why is he doing it? In the very first verse, all the prerequisites to study the Upanishads is laid out in the Īśāvāsya Upaniṣad. That is his view. So after that point, it is about Brahman realization, how Brahman is realized, what are the methods, what all the 17 mantras of the Upanishad is about. So the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gītā is contained in the very first verse of Īśāvāsya. By the way, this kind of analysis, it's hard to come by. If you directly read Vedanta Deshika's Vyakhyana or direct commentary, these ideas don't pop up directly. Somebody has to digest them, think for years and years, and give you the summary the way my grandfather has written. And I'm also doing on top of it a study and simplifying using PowerPoint slides so that because when you read a book, the small print, you just keep on reading and it doesn't really sit in your mind. When you make a PowerPoint out of it and think, it starts sort of, gels together. Anyway, I am enjoying. Even if I have one student, I will continue to do this to record. The reason is if I record, it will be there. For some student, somewhere, they may enjoy this someday. That's all. Then we'll go tomorrow. We'll meet tomorrow, right? Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Parama Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Sarva Gurubhyo Namaha, Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha, Shri Lakshmi Narasimha Parabrahmane Namaha, Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu.
Namaskaram.